My name is Christian Xavier Love Hall. I am a black sheep. I am a dichotomy that begs to differ, but both my lives are true. Part freedom fighter, part political prisoner, part Umi, part Baba, part God. I am a survivor of denied duality, an only child of ghettos gone wild. By day, I am a shadow ignored. By night, I am a long stare, the embodiment of the darkest nightmare. I am a man, a black man, a trans man, and both my lives are true. I stand before you tonight, strong, black, and he, but at one time I was seen as she, and it wasn't easy, but I've always been me. I grew up in a divorced Jamaican household. My grandfather raised me until the age of 9. My mom did what she could, and I saw my father every other weekend. It was a judge order. He wasn't truly interested in his daughter. You see, I was seen as a tomboy, assumed to be lesbian even as a child, and being Jamaican, that made me an embarrassment, a disappointment. In the words of my father, hello down bati dirty shame. Sometimes I would watch the way my father would look at me, and I knew that if I wasn't his daughter, he would probably want to see me burnt alive. I never looked forward to weekends with my father. Most times he would pick me up from my mom's house, drop me off at a strange relative's house whom I didn't know, had no connection to. Most weekends I didn't eat, wasn't allowed to bathe. But the days my father actually paid attention to me were actually the worst. I would usually watch TV all day, fall asleep on the couch, but I will always wake up in the middle of the night in his bed. I never really liked the color red because it reminds me of the first time I bled. I was only 7 years old. Keeper of my father's secrets, I was conditioned to a black code of silence because this was indeed a perverted punishment. His reasoning was that he was aiming to fix me, make me like boys, like normal little girls, by making me like him first. I was his silly, colored in purple. And I often wonder if my father knew he truly had a son, would he have loved me? But through it all, I learned how to be a survivor. I learned what it means to be resilient. I learned to love my blackness and transness simultaneously. I learned to become a better man than my father. Because although this trauma has shaped and affected me, I refuse to let it break me. Never will it define me. My name is Christian Xavier Love Hall. I am a black sheep. I am a dichotomy that begs to differ, but both my lives are true. My father never saw me as his son, so he never prepared me to deal with the racism faced daily by black men. To navigate in a world where you constantly have a target on your back, no matter how fast or slow you may shuck and jive. I remember this one night not too long ago. I locked myself out of my house. But I wasn't too worried because my partner was home, and I knew that she would open the door once I arrived. But when I got there, I realized she was asleep. So I knocked on the door. I knocked on the door a few more times and a few more times, and no answer. I knew that my partner was a heavy sleeper, so this wasn't going to be an easy task. So I decided to bang on the door. I was cold, I was hungry, my phone had died. But as soon as I did that, my neighbor from across the street opens his door. He was a white German guy. I never had too much interaction with him, but this night he decided to speak to me. He actually yelled and said to stop knocking on the fucking door, that nobody was going to answer the door. And if I didn't stop knocking, he was going to call the cops. Before I could respond, he closes the door, and I stand at my stoop in shock, in awe, and in anger. More frantically, I began to bang on the door, hoping that my partner would wake up soon. And when I did this again, this neighbor opened his door. But this time, he crosses the street to my house. And he wasn't alone. He had his German Shepherd by his side. This huge black and tan dog with a muzzle on his jaw. And of course, when I saw that, I flipped out, cussed him the fuck out. But this cycle repeated itself 3 times. 3 times within a 15-minute period, my neighbor crossed the street to my house with his German Shepherd. The 3rd time, the dog had no muzzle, and my neighbor was on his phone talking to the police, giving them my address. When he went back inside after making this call, I stood on my stoop, literally shaking. My heart was racing. I was drenched in sweat and generational memories of fire hoses pinning little black school children against walls, ripping their clothes like paper. I was sick to my stomach with rage. I thought of Eugene Connor and how he stuck police dogs on peaceful protesters in Birmingham in the 60s. I thought of how entire native tribes were fed to dogs by colonists who pledged allegiance to genocide. I thought of the German shepherds who guarded concentration camps and sniffed out human cargo during the Holocaust. I wondered, was I next? I knew that if the cops made it to my house that night when I was outside, I would die, because I knew my odds as an angry black man in America. I thought of Trayvon Martin, Walter Scott, Tamir Rice, Eric Gardner, Michael Brown, Jordan Edwards. I asked myself, if I die, will it be soft as velvet, or will it be hot and fierce like scarlet? Am I next? And what would be my crime? Simply existing. My name is Christian Xavier Love Hall. I am a black sheep. I am a dichotomy that begs to differ. And both my lives are true.
Female to nigger. We are mourned in our hormones, surgeries, mustaches, and beards. Sexy beasts, desired yet feared. Hated and envied because we pass and blend, evolve and transcend, but nobody sees the pain within. Because really, how often does a black man in America get to win? Other than in sports, time served in petty rap games. Male privilege that comes with side profiles that fit descriptions and chain gangs. Hands up as we say names. Moving targets as they take aim. Every misogynistic injustice we take blame. From ashes to hashtags. Traffic stops to body bags. Crabs and barrels and crabs. They take shots and we take jabs. We catch buses cause we can't catch cabs. I'm tired of being tired, of being unseen and unheard. Nothing but a perception blurred, a slave name that's slurred, a wet dream deferred. because we are the afterthought forgotten, like suicide notes from colored boys who have guns for toys. But what do I know? Shit. I'm just another nigga with attitude.